Today, we're heading deep into the heart of South America to talk about the Amazon. But this isn't just a story about some big river. It's a story about a river that changes its name, its color, and sometimes even flows backward. And get this, a river with a secret ghost river flowing right underneath it. So let's just start with a really basic question. Is the Amazon even just one river? Because honestly, the more scientists uncover, the more it seems like this entire world unto itself, holding secrets that are challenging everything we thought we knew. Okay, to really wrap your head around its power, let's just start with a number. Every single second, the Amazon pours 29,000 cubic meters of fresh water into the Atlantic. To put that in perspective, that's enough water to supply a massive city like New York for an entire day, in just a handful of seconds. It's just an insane amount of water. And its size? Oh, that's a whole other level. During the rainy season, this thing can swell to an incredible 48 kilometers wide in some spots. At that width, you can be standing on one bank and the opposite shore is completely invisible. It's just gone, over the horizon. You're literally looking out at an open sea. The global impact of this river is just staggering. Think about this. This one river, is responsible for 20%, that's a full 1/5 of all the fresh water that flows from rivers into all the world's oceans. You could take the next 7 biggest rivers on the planet, add all their water together, and they still wouldn't match the Amazon's output. Wild. Yeah, so it's really no surprise that a river this massive has caused, well, a lot of confusion over the centuries. Let's dig into how its sheer ocean-like presence really shaped its whole identity. The first explorers who saw it were so completely overwhelmed, they literally thought they'd found another sea. That's where it got its local nickname, the River Sea. And that nickname still holds true today in a pretty wild way. There is not a single bridge crossing the entire Amazon. Not one. It's just too wide, too powerful, too untamable. Okay, but the confusion doesn't just stop with its size. It actually leads to one of the biggest ongoing debates in all of geography. What is the Amazon really? And just how long is it? All right, for as long as I can remember, textbooks have always said the same thing. The Nile is the longest river in the world. And yeah, the traditional measurements show the Nile winning by about 250 kilometers. But new research is throwing all of that into question. See, scientists using satellite mapping are now saying, hold on a second, if you trace the Amazon back to its actual source, way up high in the Andes Mountains, its length jumps to almost 7,000 kilometers. And if that's true, it makes the Amazon the undisputed champion. That debate, it's still raging. And to make this identity crisis even crazier, the river isn't even called the Amazon for most of its journey. It actually starts its life as the Apurimac up in the mountains. As it flows down, its name changes over and over again. In fact, most Brazilians don't even start calling it the Amazon until something really specific and honestly pretty dramatic happens. And this is that event. It's called the Meeting of Waters, and it is spectacular. So you've got the dark, almost black water of the Rio Negro meeting the muddy, sandy-colored water of the main channel. But here's the crazy part. Because they have totally different temperatures, speeds, and even densities, they refuse to mix. They just flow side by side, like two separate highways of water for hundreds of kilometers. It's only after this point that the river finally gets its famous name, the Amazon. All right, so we've got a massive river with a serious identity crisis. But believe it or not, things are about to get even weirder. Let's talk about the paradoxes of the Amazon, the ways it behaves that justify all logic for a normal river. Which leads us to a pretty mind-bending question. Can a river, especially the most powerful river in the world, actually flow backwards? The answer, incredibly, is yes. And not just in one way, but in 2 completely different ways. Okay, first, let's go way back in time. We're talking millions of years ago. Back when South America and Africa were mashed together in the supercontinent Gondwana, the Amazon actually flowed the other way. It flowed west from what is now Africa across South America. But then the continents split. South America drifted away. And as it did, the massive Andes Mountains started to rise up, forming this gigantic wall of rock right in the river's path. The river had nowhere to go, so it was forced to do the unthinkable, completely reverse its course and start flowing east into the Atlantic Ocean. But that's not all. There's a modern version of this reversal that happens even today. It's a wild phenomenon called the pororoca.
During high tide, the Atlantic Ocean literally shoves a massive 4-meter-tall wave up the river's mouth. This wall of water is so powerful, it forces the mighty Amazon to flow backward for several kilometers. It's become this legendary event, and you've got surfers from all over the world who come to try and ride this reverse wave deep into the jungle. How cool is that?
So the Amazon is obviously full of surprises on its surface. But what if I told you its biggest secrets are completely hidden from view? Let's dive deep, I mean really deep, underground.
Think about it. What could possibly be flowing 4 kilometers, that's 2.5 miles, directly beneath the world's largest river? For the longest time, nobody had a clue. But then, a shocking discovery in 2011 changed absolutely everything. Scientists found a second river, a kind of ghost river they named the Hamza, flowing in the exact same direction as the Amazon, but deep within the Earth's crust. And this thing is mind-bogglingly huge. It's way, way wider than the Amazon. We're talking up to 400 kilometers across. But here's the twist. Its water moves at a glacial pace. It's just slowly seeping through porous rock at just millimeters per second. So you have these two rivers, one right on top of the other, moving through completely different scales of time and space. So the Amazon hides entire worlds right beneath our feet, but it also hides them in its distant past. I mean, we all think of the anaconda as this terrifying jungle giant, right? Well, the anaconda is a guppy compared to what used to slither around here. Meet Titanoboa. Fossils have shown that this prehistoric snake was about 15 meters long. That's like the length of a school bus and weighed over a ton. It was so enormous, its favorite snack was giant crocodiles.
But maybe the Amazon's greatest secret isn't a hidden river or a prehistoric monster. Maybe it's a lost chapter of human history itself, one that we've only just started to read. For centuries, the story from archaeologists was always the same. The Amazon's environment was just too harsh to support any kind of large, complex civilization. The thinking was only small, nomadic tribes could ever survive there. Well, it turns out that assumption was completely, totally wrong. Using this incredible LiDAR technology, which is basically lasers that can map the ground right through the dense forest canopy, researchers have uncovered the ruins of these sprawling, highly sophisticated cities. They found evidence of a culture called the Kasarab. These people built massive, 22-meter-tall earthen pyramids. They engineered complex canal systems for water. They built extensive networks of perfectly straight raised roads connecting their urban centers. This wasn't some sparse, empty jungle. This was home to a thriving, advanced civilization hidden for centuries. So from a river that flows backward to a ghost river running miles underground to entire lost cities hidden in plain sight, the Amazon just keeps proving that it is so much more than we ever imagined. Every time we think we have it figured out, it reveals something new. Which leaves us with one final, thrilling question. What other incredible secrets is the Amazon still hiding from us?